The Domesday Book refers to East Portlemouth as one of the areas laid waste by the Irish, led by the sons of King Harold, in the early years of William the Conqueror's reign. It guards the entrance to the Kingsbridge-Salcombe estuary on the opposite bank to Salcombe, which can be clearly seen in the background. This view also shows the extent of Salcombe's expansion in the later 20th century. The Reverend William Thomas Adey described East Portlemouth as a picturesque village standing on an elevated point on the eastern side of Salcombe Harbour, commanding a wide and uninterrupted view of the sea and of the bold and rocky shore as far as Prawle Point. Apparently, the village used to resemble Clovelly, with its steep stairway, but in 1879 the new Duke of Cleveland had many houses demolished and half the population were forced to move away. The Duke's agents advised him that a century's worth of neglect of the properties was too expensive to put right, particularly as the tenants were fishermen and seamen, not especially useful to a landowner. A mine was opened at Ditch End in 1859, thought to contain silver, lead and copper, but it proved less successful than was originally thought and was abandoned within a few years. A school has existed in Charleton since at least 1870, but the present school, here on the left, was built with the financial assistance of the Earl and Countess Compton, the major landowners of the area, and although not living here, well aware of the needs of their tenants. The present building was opened in February 1890. Like most village schools of the 19th century, there was a considerable turnover of teachers, often uncertified and inexperienced, working for low wages, with the result that standards could vary greatly. The road here was widened in the early 1970s to cope with the increased traffic during the building of Light Lane. At the same time, the water fountain, donated by the Earl and Countess Compton in 1896, was moved a few feet to its present site. In December 1907, the schoolroom was used for a dinner for the tenants and their wives on the occasion of the visit of Earl Compton and his father, the Marquis of Northampton, Lord of Charleton Manor. While in Charleton, the gentleman opened the Parish Institute at the old schoolroom, a building which had been demolished by 1966. Charleton, both east and west, was rather ignored by the road system until 1831, when the building of New Bridge at Bokham Creek brought Charleton onto the Kingsbridge to Dartmouth route. Until that date, the road had snaked around via Frogmore and Duncombe Cross, leaving Charleton as something of a backwater. If the Devon Light Railway, planned in 1904, had not been abandoned, there would have been a rail link as well to make up for the early neglect of transport routes. The Ashburton Arms on the right was the New Inn in 1840. By 1866, the name had been changed to the Ashburton Arms, the surname of the family who had owned the estate, and apparently named after the Ashburton heiress who married the Marquis of Northampton. Sometime after 1926, the name was changed again to the White Oaks Inn, reverting to Ashburton Arms in 1971 with the permission of the then Marquis of Northampton. The historian Polwheel, in 1796, had mixed feelings about the folk of Charleton. Here are some strong interests of health and longevity, such as 90 and 96, with all senses perfect. Among their customs they have one very bad one, which is absenting themselves Sunday mornings from public worship, and which, by the way, is an eternal disgrace to the South Hams in general. They believe in witchcraft and conjuration. Their sports are skittle-playing and wrestling. In 1836, the Rural Dean's Report requested parishioners to have more care taken that disorderly persons be not permitted to remain in the churchyard on Sabbath days. The Charleton estate was broken up in 1919, being auctioned off to meet the costs of Earl Compton's breach of promise case brought by Daisy Marham, whose stage name as a dancer was Annie Moss. and whose settlement of £50,000 apparently forced the sale of the estate. Most properties were sold privately, direct to the tenants. Apart from the shop on the right, now being a house, and it being unwise to walk down the middle of the road, this view of Higher Town Malborough has changed little over the years. In the centre distance, the spire of the Church of All Saints dominates the landscape. One of three churches known as the Cathedral of the South Hams, the others being Stokenham and Modbury, shipwreck victims were often buried in this churchyard. Until 1894, Malborough had a parish peculiarity. Salcombe, considered merely a village, was part of the parish, but the village of Malborough itself was divided between the two parishes of Malborough and West Alvington, the dividing line being down the middle of this road. The old inn on the left was in Malborough parish. The shop on the right, Callender's Stores in the 20th century, was in West Alvington parish. The old inn, which doubled as the post office in the mid-19th century, was run by the Jarvis family in the late 19th and early 20th centuries. It hosted some notable gatherings, especially at the annual rent audits for the Earl of Devon, the major landowner in the area.